Are we good now? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 5th Zoning Committee Work Session meeting. My name is Douglas A. Welton. I am the chairman of the Zoning Committee. This meeting is being streamed online via YouTube in accordance with all of the applicable meeting statutes. Requirements for notice, access, and minutes are being met by electronic means. This is our December meeting. Hopefully, we're going to have an exciting meeting tonight. Everybody's going to be here and have fun. But a few notes before we get started. For those of you who have a microphone in front of you, if you are talking and you are not speaking on the record, please turn your microphone off. If you are speaking on the record, please state your name when you are making a motion or a second. The public hearing for the zoning petitions that we are hearing tonight has been held on a previous date in front of Charlotte City Council and the Zoning Committee. This meeting is not a continuation of those hearings, so there will be no public input unless the committee has a specific question, in which case the committee will suspend the session and ask the petitioner directly. We'll begin this meeting with introductions of the members of the Zoning Committee, and I'm going to begin all the way to my right with Commissioner Lansdell.
Terry Lansdell, Planning Commission.
Will Russell, Planning Commission.
Clayton Seeley, Planning Commission.
Rebecca Wilden, Planning Commission.
Shauna Neely, Planning Commission.
Rick Winokur, Planning Commission.
Thank you. It's good that you all knew, everybody knew their own name tonight. We're going to also begin with some introductions of staff, and we will begin all the way to our right with Emma.
Emma Canarjas, Planning Staff.
Raquel Jones, Planning Staff.
Holly Kramer, Planning Staff.
Joe Mangum, Planning Staff. Max Oliver, Planning Staff.
Michael Russell, Planning Staff.
Dave Penn, Planning.
All right, thank you all. Do we have some folks who are online? CDOT folks are usually joining us, and if you would, please introduce yourselves.
Jay Carpenter, CDOT.
Ritter, CDOT.
Natalie King, CDOT.
Travis Miller, CDOT.
Isaiah Washington, CDOT.
That's everybody. Thank you. A full complement of CDOT folks tonight. Glad to have you on this meeting. We'll be talking to you soon. We will begin our meeting by taking a look at our agenda. And I will ask Mr. Patton if there are any deferrals or withdrawals that we need to have considered that are alterations to the agenda.
Yes, we do have two items that are being requested for deferral. First is, as listed in the agenda, item 1, 2021-209 by Coastal Acquisition Entity, and then 2022-071 by MTB Holdings, both requesting a deferral to our January 2nd meeting. I do want to discuss the date of that meeting with everybody as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm just getting a quick update that actually 071 is going to be withdrawn as of today. So I think we still take action on a deferral just to get it to the council meeting to withdraw it from there. So.
Thank you. We've heard that we have deferrals on item number 1 and 2 of the agenda. Do I hear a motion from the committee for the disposition of these items?
Motion to defer those items.
All right.
Winokur.
All right. Do you have a second?
Second, Wilden.
It's been moved by Winokur and seconded by Wilden. All those in favor of deferring items 1 and 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Those items will be deferred. We will also come back to Mr. Patton's mentioning of the fact that our next meeting is scheduled for January 2nd, 2024. Usually after a holiday, we do move our meetings back to allow staff to have some additional time. Dave, can you elucidate, please?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. Usually we like to have an extra day if we have an issue published in the agenda that Friday before. It gives us a little bit of time and cushion. So we typically move those by a day. We can consider either January 3rd on Wednesday or January 4th on Thursday. If either of those dates would work, we could entertain moving the meeting to those dates to give everybody an extra day of cushion to get any housekeeping done before the meeting.
All right. Is there any discussion amongst the committee? Do you guys have a preference of the 3rd or the 4th? Do I see hand signals going on? Gosh, hopefully nobody is stealing signs here. Do we-
Fourth is good.
Yeah.
do we hear the 4th? Do we need to make that motion? Dave?
Yeah, we would just need to
Um,
amend the calendar to reflect the date of January 5th.
Can I get a motion from someone about amending the calendar?
Motion Wilden, amend the calendar to move the zoning committee work session to Thursday, January 4th from 5:30 to whenever we get out.
6:30, it'll be surely. Do I hear a second on that motion?
Second, Winiker.
It's been moved by Wilden and properly seconded by Winiker. All those in favor of adjusting the calendar so that we will have our next work session on January 4th, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, that one passes and we are all
Saves me a
good.
meeting on my birthday. Appreciate it.
We will be meeting on Dave's birthday.
No, the day before is, so,
Oh,
thank you.
We have to bring a
Yeah,
birthday cake.
so I appreciate that. I wouldn't have come, so.
Sometimes these meetings just move along with such speed, ease, and grace. For those of you at home tonight, we're also celebrating Santa Claus, the Dutch holiday. That is why I have my hat on with the orange lion. Everybody's all excited about this, now, aren't you? We'll begin our meeting with all good intentions of being out of here before 7:30 with item number 3. And this is rezoning petition number 2019. Wow, that's old. 2019-109 by Miriam E. Franco. And Claire, who's usually not here, is going to be played on stage tonight by Dave Pettin.
Thank you. Yes, 2019-109. It's a little over 8 acres. I'm getting some feedback here. Let me sit back. Off Parker Drive and Remount Road. It is currently zoned neighborhood 2B, and the proposed zoning is for I2 conditional. Adopted place type you can see is for neighborhood 2. We do have a lot of that manufacturing logistics on the north side of Parker, really on both sides of Remount, and a little bit of manufacturing logistics down to the west on Parker Drive. The site itself is, I'm not sure where, this is 2022-109, so let's just skip to 2019. Does propose some development standards, limits uses to really just the contractor's office, which is existing on site with the accessory storage that's there, as well as automobile repair and garage with storage, excluding construction equipment storage. And as we discussed at the public hearing, this petition is mainly to address the uses that are on site to get them into compliance with the zoning code. So that's why we're really only looking at 2 potential uses, because those are what are existing on the site. We do have one change to the development standards. We do have the list of prohibited uses, which is a lot of the uses that you find in I2. And then we also have some commitments to comply with the post-construction stormwater ordinance, tree ordinance, buffer ordinance. We did add some language to the development standards on that really discuss a little bit of maintenance of buffers. We can go back 2 slides, maybe. We go to the aerial photograph of everything. So you can see on the south side, there's a utility substation and an easement that runs through there, and it's pretty heavily wooded, really in all directions. There's some language in the development standards that just discuss that those areas, a certain distance of those buffers, I think 50 feet on the west side, and then just an area to the north of the utility easement for an additional 30 feet would just be left undisturbed, so it would remain treed. So that way we would maintain essentially the site kind of as we see it today, minus some cleanup, but trying to maintain that existing tree canopy and those existing buffers rather than providing and some of the opportunity to either scrub those and replant, which I think will help with some of the screening and some of the concerns we discussed at the council hearing just a couple weeks ago. So in talking with the property owner, I think that's the intent also, is to keep those tree areas in place. So we just put that language in the notes to ensure that outcome, and really that addresses some of the main concerns, that the other concerns that we had during the public hearing, So with some of those changes and talking through the petition a little bit more and understanding what we, learned from the public hearing, staff is supportive of the petition. We do recommend approval of it. It is inconsistent with that neighborhood 2 place type, but it is just consistent with the existing uses. And really, the only outcome of this petition, should it be approved, would be to really lock in those uses. Anything else would need a subsequent rezoning, whether it's industrial, residential, commercial, what have you. So we feel like it's pretty well, like I said, locked into just what's out there now, which would allow those uses to continue, allow those small businesses to continue operation. And then anything else that would come down the road would need a subsequent rezoning, and we would reevaluate uses at that time. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dave. Certainly, true. Thank you, Dave. Do I have any questions from the commission? None? Do I hear a motion for the disposition of this petition?
Winiker, motion to approve.
Second, Seeley.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move we recommend approval of petition number 2020. Wait, no. Yeah, this was 2019. 2019-109. As it appears before us.
And adoption of the consistency statement. Did you say that part?
Yes, and the adoption of the consistency statement. I'm sorry, my microphone wasn't on. Thank you.
Thank you. And then this motion has been made by, this could be an evening. This motion has been properly made by Winiker and seconded by Seeley. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes 7-0. On to item number 4 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2021-277 by Bill Don LLC. And John Kenley.
I'll cover it for Dave and John.
John, your hair's gotten longer.
I know it. All right. This site is just a little under half an acre, located on the east side of Providence Road, north side of Philwell Place, and south of South Colonial Avenue. The current zoning is Office Flex Campus, and they're proposing to go to Neighborhood Center conditional. The policy map calls for campus at this site. As you can see, there's a Neighborhood Center and direct adjacency and a little bit of Neighborhood 1 off the back end of the site. The proposal is limited to just development standards to provide details on the uses that would be permitted in this site. So such as residential uses, financial institutions, office, some retail uses, and it prohibits all other uses that aren't specifically listed above. And it would specify that any commercial or business establishment located on the property must close their business by 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 6 p.m. on Sunday. So since the public hearing, they have also added triplex and multi-dwelling development to the list of permitted uses. And they have changed the note for the hours of operations as follows. So it used to be that establishments must close by 10 p.m. on those dates, but now it's establishments must close by 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. So providing, I guess, a little bit more buffer of the noise that might be created as a result of those uses. Staff recommends approval of this petition. All outstanding issues have been addressed, and we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Holly. Does anyone have any questions, issues, comments on this petition? Commissioner Russell.
Thank you, Holly, playing John tonight. Question on the change in the hours. It went from, there we go, from 10 p.m. on Monday through Saturday to close by 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Was that one that the petitioner requested, or was that one that was negotiated by staff?
That's a good question. I think we do have the petitioner representative here. We might want to ask for clarification for that, because I know there was some conversation on that at the hearing. And I think that came to us as part of the revised plan. So I don't know if that was in attempt to address the concern that was raised at the hearing. It wasn't something I'm aware of that we were asking for. It wasn't an outstanding issue in our public hearing staff analysis. So it may have been an attempt to address that concern. But again, if you want to get clarification from the petitioner's rep, that's certainly
Okay, motion
good
to
idea.
suspend.
Second, Seeley.
I have a motion to suspend from Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Seeley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we will suspend the rules for a moment here. Commissioner Russell, your exact question is?
The change in hours, was that compromise offered up by you and your development group?
It was offered to the neighborhoods and make sure there wouldn't be.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Questions?
Motion to resume?
Okay.
Have to do motion to resume.
I don't think we have to do a motion to resume. We'll just say Alakazam or whatever. Anyway, we'll resume the session now. Do we have any other questions from those of us on this side of the black tablecloth? If not, do I have a motion for the disposition of this petition?
Motion to approve Wilden. This petition is found, here it is. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2021-277 as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
It's been moved by Wilden and seconded by Seeley. Microphoneless Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion also passes 7-0. We will go on now to item number 5 on our agenda, rezoning petition 2022-099 by Levine Properties. And Holly, I think you will, is it really you?
We'll see.
Okay.
I might pass it off midway. All right, this site is just under an acre at the intersection of the Plaza and Commonwealth Avenue, just north of Independence Boulevard there, located in the heart of Plaza Midwood, as you can see on that aerial image in the next slide. So it has pretty close proximity to that bigger development that we rezoned a couple years ago at this point off of Pecan Avenue that you can see in the very northwest corner of this image here. And just for context, the Silver Line would run along the south side of the site and is proposing to have a station at Pecan Avenue. So the current zoning is neighborhood center. Sorry, these slides are back before June 1st because we held the public hearing that long ago. But since the public hearing, it has since been translated to neighborhood center as a result of that pedestrian overlay. And they're proposing to go to mixed use development district optional. The policy map also calls for community activity center. And as I noted, this is along the proposed Silver Line route, and that community activity center designation is largely as a result of long range's talks with CATS during the policy map process and identifying areas where community activity center would be applied because of intensification expected along the Silver Line route. So this was the proposal as presented at the public hearing. It was for up to 175 multifamily units and up to 12,000 square feet of commercial non-residential uses. That also identifies a minimum square feet of 6,000 square feet located on the ground floor for those non-residential uses. It prohibits car washes, auto service stations, EDEs with accessory drive-through service windows, and commercial self-storage facilities. It also identified some conversion rights from multifamily units to commercial space, and you could read more details there. But it requested an optional provision to allow for an accessory drive-through service window that is limited to use as a financial institution. And if provided, it would be a part of the larger mixed-use building rather than separate, meaning that it would be internal to the site, and they would have screenings so that you wouldn't be able to see the actual drive-through from the streets. It also requested an optional provision to exceed the maximum height allowed in the MUD district to 150. Again, that's the proposal as presented at the public hearing. And it also specified that it would provide community benefits to achieve any height above 120 feet. It provided full access via Commonwealth Avenue and the Plaza, and committed to update ADA ramps at the corner of the Plaza and Commonwealth Avenue, and provided a number of design guidelines. So since the public hearing, we've had a number of changes made, one of the most notable being a reduction to the proposed maximum height from 150 feet to now 126 feet, and adding a commitment to follow the bonus provisions associated with the CAC 1 zoning districts, the Community Activity Center 1 zoning district, so that any height achieved above 80 feet would require bonus provisions in accordance with that UDO chapter. So that's changing it from essentially, it was specifying a CAC 2 type structure to the bonus provisions, and now it's CAC 1. And the petitioner has identified some of those commitments, which would include EV charging stations and spaces, and some open space that would be provided along with the proposed road diet along the plaza. The petitioner also worked with the community organizations, including the Merchants Association and the neighborhood organizations, to identify financial and infrastructural commitments that have been built into the plan that address pedestrian improvements and communal open space among other provisions that speak to specific local concerns in Plaza Midwood. The reduction in scale of this development and a commitment to the community benefits changed our recommendation to now recommending approval upon the resolution of outstanding issues. This project would be consistent with the Policy Map's recommendation for Community Activity Center, and the long-range infrastructure projects in the area would anticipate some amount of densification in this corridor along the Silver Line route. We also think that the proposed drive-through would be limited enough in uses, in that it's only for the Charlotte Fire Credit Union and internal to the site, that it wouldn't be a noxious use as we normally associate with drive-throughs, especially EDE type drive-throughs. We don't think that that type of drive-through would have a huge amount of trips generated, essentially. And that use also previously existed on the site just a couple years ago. I think maybe 2019, 2018 is when it was removed. So there's quite a long staff recommendation. There's a number of other points, but we'll just get to the questions.
Thank you, Holly. Do we have any questions from the commission in regards to this?
Winokur.
Commissioner Winokur.
I live, this is actually Chantilly North. If you look on the deed map, this is everything south of Central is Chantilly. But you know, in 1949, they decided to cut the neighborhood in half with Independence Boulevard, and we have lived with the repercussions ever since. The Commonwealth and Pecan generate a tremendous amount of cut-through traffic. This area, the Plaza Midwood Merchants area, is an attraction. In the course of this project, it's my understanding, based on my discussion with the community members that I'm regularly in touch with, the initial presentation did not involve any or have much interest in dealing with local community concerns. However, that has changed. Relatively recently. And as a result, once neighbors and the developer came to some pretty good, it seems to me, based on the correspondence I reviewed, some pretty good resolutions to things. The holdup at this point is Charlotte Department of Transportation. And the communication with CDOT from the community members basically indicated that whatever improvements may or may not occur will occur when they decide it will occur. No commitments, no follow-up, no timetable, no nothing. And this is going to be a dramatic change to the area. Obviously, we have right down the road on Commonwealth another dramatic change that's already in the works. But linking these two areas with the already heavy cut-through traffic, what we need is speed reduction improvements to improve pedestrian safety. Quite frankly, I think Commonwealth should be a pedestrian zone. But that being said, I think that the petitioner has done what he can to try to work with local concerns at this point. But it is frustrating that we don't have much commitment or involvement from CDOT in trying to address community concerns. Thank you.
Commissioner Seeley, or I think that Seeley, you're next, and then Russell.
Well, I had similar comments in pretty much the exact same vein. But I did want to say that a few weeks back, I took the bus to Giddy Goat Coffee, which is about a block from here. And also on our agenda tonight, it only took me 7 minutes on the bus and about 10, 12 minutes of walking. It was a really pleasant ride. I know there were community concerns around transit in this area, but just wanted to say that this is probably the best transit connected by bus area in all of Charlotte. His comments I'm in agreement with, but I just wanted to add that about transit connectivity, especially on Central Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioner Seeley. Commissioner Russell,
All right, so 2 questions. I want to make sure I understand.
microphone.
First question, just to make sure I understand what's going on. So the petitioner requested a reduction in max height from 150 to 126 for this project?
Yes, we requested on the pre-hearing staff analysis that they reduce the max height and they came down to 126 from 150. And they also modified in that height note where the bonus provisions kick in. So rather than 120 feet, they now kick in at 80 feet.
Okay, good. I guess then my other question is the staff rationale for approval for something of that height in this area and for something that's really calling for a heavy auto intensive use in an area that's heavily pedestrian. I just want to understand what was the
Is the concern the drive-through over the heavy auto
drive
intensive?
through.
Yeah, so because it would be limited to the financial institution, the Friar Credit Union, the way that we saw is that traffic generated from that limited use isn't nearly as high as certainly other drive-throughs. But also when you compare to other types of financial institutions, it's not a Bank of America, it's not a Wells Fargo. There's far fewer customers that they'd essentially be servicing. So we just didn't think that that was going to cause as many trips as maybe it seems by being listed as a drive-through facility.
Thank you.
Do you have any other, Commissioner Lansdale?
This is Lansdale. Just as we look through the changes that were made, and I think there's been some communications back and forth for the community, but other than commits to contribute the $10,000, everything else is, pursuing good faith efforts. And I want to talk about and stress the importance of we have a change here, an opportunity for change that we need to make sure that we're building this building for people and having access to all corners of this parcel is important for active mobility, for pedestrian access, for community enhancements. So that's the questions I have is we'd love to have seen in this particular petition more contributions to CDOT for direct improvements, for guaranteed improvements to transportation enhancements. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got any questions? I will throw in a couple of things here. I did, to Commissioner Seeley's point, I was out this morning just to scope out the property. I've been by a million times, but did note that there's a numbered bus route there, although there are not bus lanes on Commonwealth, or excuse me, bike lanes on Commonwealth. The number 17 bus showed up right as I was driving by. Holly, do you know if is there on the plan, the site-ish plan, is there a bus stop that would be at this location specifically?
I don't think that they commit to adding a bus shelter or bus stop
Okay.
to that specific site.
It's too close.
I apologize for interrupting, but something to keep in mind is it's very close to that intersection right there at
Okay.
the Plaza and
All right.
Commonwealth. That might be tough. I don't know, though.
It just would seem like it'd be a great place to have one because it's a residence. People would come downstairs, go outside and get on the bus. Listen.
Sure. I don't have any outstanding issues from CATS, I'll also say, and I think they probably would have identified that if it were maybe a top priority, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
Okay, all right. What?
I said, does CATS contribute here?
No,
Um,
they never do.
We will not talk about Kat's contribution to this meeting. What I will say also is I will just for the record, we did receive, I did get some additional feedback The Plaza Midwood Merchants Association was pleased with this property as it has gotten to, and, you know, former chairman of this committee, Phil Gustman, is heavily involved in that. Did get some correspondence from him this afternoon regarding that. Also received some correspondence from Alan Nelson, who was previously the chairman of the Commonwealth Morningside Neighborhood Association. The neighborhood does still express some concerns, and I do believe that the petitioner has been forthright that there are negotiations ongoing regarding various and sundry issues. The neighborhood expressed concerns via Alan to say in his email that there's still a little bit of concern about height and the size of this building versus the rest of the neighborhood. I will simply say that I don't necessarily share that concern. I'm just pushing through what I've received. There is a lot of like from Alan's perspective about the notion of this pocket park. And I want to, Jake, I don't know if you can address the issue of why there is hesitancy with CDOT to go forward with this notion of road diet-esque kind of whatever on the Plaza stub. I don't know if you've got some information that can help us understand that, or is that something that's in consideration or whatever? And I asked Jake, I don't know if Jake is the appropriate person to answer the question, but your name is in the middle of our Hollywood squares. Oh, of course, he's not even listening.
He is, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna give Natalie a chance to respond.
Oh, okay. Natalie, are you should be in the middle of our Hollywood squares on this one?
Yes, that
Okay.
is me. I'm on the hot seat. So we don't have an issue with doing improvements for the plaza in general. However, it's going to be a very important thoroughfare because that is where the rail trail, as well as the Silver Line, will have future connections to. So we just want to make sure that they follow our CLDSM standards, and that we can work to an agreement that works for both the community and for CDOT policies. And as you know, we don't typically like to see the sidewalk at the back of curbs. So we have shared with them the street section that we think would better fit, and we're waiting for those changes.
Okay, so then I would get from you that there's an exchange of information that is still ongoing, and the petitioner you guys can work it out short of a steel cage death match is what I think I hear.
Yes, absolutely. And we've had several meetings, and they've reached out to me with the plan. So we will definitely continue to talk through this.
Okay. That I do like. I will also note that I was at the community area planning session on Thursday and the Tuesday one. You were there Saturday. Anybody else catch one of these? But there was some discussion about this whole CAC thing and whether or not it's CAC 1 or CAC 2. The neighborhood did express at those meetings, and again, you know, you've got those folks that are active and involved and engaged coming there to express an opinion, but they wanted a lower intensity CAC. So I will just put that out there for the committee to think about and cogitate upon. Let me see if I've put all of, and I will say one other thing, and then I'll be quiet. The proposal had an interesting thing on it that I liked, and it was to put 5% of the properties reserved for short-term rentals. And I thought that was a really good idea. I like that idea a lot because if you're in this area and you have family coming in and they're just here for the weekend, they don't need to commit to you long-term or something like that. Not like a marriage, right? It's the hookup. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm just not even going to get out of that in any good way, am I? Okay, well, anyway, moving on. But I do think that that's something that we should consider, proposing in other parts of, I can't look at you either, sorry. Other parts of town, I think there's a lot of benefits to it. I'm going to be quiet now. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Commissioner Russell.
I want to add one point. Just looking at where this is on the map and with the light rail coming through, that pocket park is going to go away. So I just want everybody to be understood that once that light rail, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 100, but that pocket park will be demolished by any.
You know, I asked about that and I was told that there's about 70 feet of right of way at the back of this property before the CDOT, NCDOT, whoever owns that. It's Cat's right of way? Okay, before the Cat's right of way. And I went back there this morning and I can't honestly say, you know, it's going to be lovely right up next to Independence Boulevard. The train will make it a little bit better. You and I have an opinion about the train, but you know, again, with the tape measure, I guess there's actually room, but how beautiful it's going to be is another story.
If I may also point out one thing on this view, Holly, what's the number on the rezoning that's going on the parcel where Legion is just to the west of the parcel that we're talking about here?
I believe that's 2023-062. Yep, that's correct.
That's
And
early in the process, and that's going to be a similarly massive development.
it's now converting to conditional. I'll just put that out there right now. It says CAC to conventional. It's converting to conditional.
Okay. You know, I think there's no doubt that there are going to be some changes to this neighborhood. I think there's no doubt that they're going to be not along Central, I don't believe, but along some of the edges, and particularly I could see it happening along the edge that is Independence Boulevard. Some things that are taller than the things that used to be there. So, do we need to discuss more? You should really stop me from talking at a certain point in time, right? Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 5, a rezoning petition 2022-099?
Having reviewed the petition and consider the consistency statements prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2022-099 and as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Nobody can actually talk to them.
I know.
Do I hear a second?
Second, Wilden.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Seeley and seconded by Commissioner Wilden. All those in favor of this petition, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed, Winokur.
All right, 3, 4. That petition passes 4-3. Do we need to get naysayers to say their nay?
Yeah, I'm happy to take the lead on that.
Yays?
In the middle.
Nays?
Given the pedestrian heavy use of an area that is otherwise a center of social, economic, and living activity, the Charlotte Department of Transportation has not engaged sufficiently with the neighbors, residents, and businesses in the area to come up with a plan to help preserve and protect pedestrian safety. The roads Commonwealth and Pecan are heavily used as cut-throughs. We do not need to prioritize cut-through traffic, and absent a sufficient plan, that's the
Comment? Russell? All right, we're good? Holly, we good? We go on to the next one now, all right? Goody. All right, we're on to item number 6 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-001 by Kairoy Residential. And Joe, you will take us through this one.
Thank you. This is just over 6 acres located on the north side of State Street, east of Ambassador Street, and west of Turner Avenue, near Savona Mill in the lower Tuckasegee corridor. Current zoning is ML2. Proposed zoning is MUD CD. The 2040 policy map recommends innovation mixed-use place type. The proposal is for up to 450 multifamily dwelling units, along with accessory uses allowed in the MUD district. Building height will be limited to 90 feet. The ground floor would have a minimum height of 16 feet abutting State Street. Also, that ground floor abutting State Street would have a minimum transparency requirement of 30%. Petition would provide an 8-foot planting strip and 8-foot sidewalk along State Street. They're also committing to pursuing a short sidewalk gap to extend that sidewalk to Stewart Creek Greenway. Also providing an amenity area that would include a clubhouse, fitness center, and swimming pool. Since the public hearing, CDOT has rescinded their request for a comprehensive transportation review. Also, the petitioner has revised a conditional note to confirm that all transportation improvements will be constructed prior to the issuance of the first CO. It is consistent with the IMU place type recommendation. Staff recommends approval, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Do we have any questions on rezoning petition 2023-001? Commissioner Russell.
Just a quick one. I know that there's a Southern Concrete Materials plant there where they make batch concrete. Have there been any issues raised about particulate matter since it is across the street? Environmental.
We likely have that in the Louisa memo. That site did come in. I'm looking at Dave to see if I'm remembering correctly. It might have, someone else might be coordinating that petition.
It hasn't come in yet, but we have had some conversations about that site being relocated or moved from that location to another spot.
I was sorry, no. It might be on another.
But no direct comments from Louisa on air quality other than just advisory items. Just says it may require submission of an asbestos notification. And then they go on to talk a little bit about EV charging spaces. But that's primarily it in terms of any kind of air pollution or air quality issues for that petition.
Yeah. Perhaps. Industrial stuff. You done with your questions?
I am, thank you.
All right. Anybody else have questions? Otherwise, Commissioner Lansdale.
Couple of quick ones. Can CDOT comment on why it was with a transportation review was pulled on this one?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Sure. Can you explain why you pulled the comprehensive transportation review on this one?
So because it was pre-UDO, we weren't able to require it. And when we reached out to the petitioner, they stated that they weren't able to complete the CTR. So we had to remove it.
Okay, thank you very much. Quick follow-up, if I may, while I have you on the mic. Can you explain a little bit more of the connection to Stewart Creek Greenway? It's pretty bare bones there. It's an important connector and an important part of the project for me, but if may not be for you, maybe for county, but we'll let you give it a shot. Give you enough time.
I believe as far as what we're able to do related to the petition, there was a crosswalk that takes them from their side of the street to the connection.
Right.
But as far as the actual trail goes, that would be more of the county's decision.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, I've got two quick ones, Joe, that hopefully not deal breakers in any shape, form, or fashion. Would you please re-say what you said about transparency on the first floor? Because is that, I assume, going to be, it doesn't say anything about retail in here that I remember seeing. So I was just curious about what the transparency on the first floor was all about.
So I believe that would just be 30% glass effectively on the ground floor.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean anything in terms of uses. They don't have,
Uses,
they
okay.
don't have a particular use commitment percentage on the ground floor.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering if I missed something there, and I guess I didn't. Okay. And one other note, and Joe, you may be able to answer this or not answer this. The railroad track there on State Street is a big lump. Is that in any way, it looks like when I look at this map, the railroad track is not in that property to be dealt with at all. And I didn't know if there was anything that was said along the way that mitigated the big lump in the road that is the railroad track or not. Miata driver talking.
Yeah, I might defer that one to our CDOT colleagues. Isaiah, did you catch that question about the railroad and
There's a railroad.
State Street?
Yeah, there's a railroad. Used to be some track that crossed State Street. It's been a minute since I've gone out there, but it was a lump, quite a bit of a lump there. And I don't know if it's even in this particular rezoning, but if it was, I wanted to know if they were going to remove that spur or if it was just going to stay there and torture me when I drive my Miata over it.
I believe that spur is right outside of their property limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe that there was a previous petition that was going to remove that as well.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that petition number is, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just be careful. Go over sideways. Do I have any other comments, questions, concerns about this petition?
Yes, Wilden. So in reading the community report, the community meeting report, and looking at the Louisa report, it seems like there is a lot of groundwater contamination, which gives me some pause due to the fact that it is, I believe, within like 100 yards of a school. And so I'd kind of like to dig into this one a little bit more, because during the community meeting, the petitioner did say that they'd be wanting to have conversations with the community around how to handle that. But I didn't see any follow-up, and granted, yes, I should have followed up, but I just didn't see any follow-up in terms of like the Louisa or anything in there, or excuse me, or otherwise. And it's hold on, let me see. It is considered, it's a North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality inactive hazardous site.
Yeah, I don't know if they've had any follow-up conversations with the community, but they will have to go through all the DEQ programs. They'll have to go through the entire brownfields reclamation program if that's something that they need to work with the state on. So they won't be able to go through and start turning dirt and doing any construction until they go through mitigation on any of the contamination that they may need to. It just depends on what the assessment is and how much work they're going to do. Groundwater contamination is mainly relevant to folks that are going to have well water or wells put in, which this would be tied into public utilities. So it shouldn't be too much of a concern from a groundwater contamination standpoint, because they won't be using any wells to supply water for this project. It would be all through city water. So that groundwater comment would really only apply if they were going to do the well system. So the brownfields program and what they would have to go through on that would all be done through NCDEQ. And again, they won't be able to pull permits for, turning the site over, grading until, whatever applicable things they have to work through with NCDEQ through brownfields is taken care of. So
thank you for that clarity.
Yeah. Anyone, Commissioner Lansdale?
A quick follow-up on that one. So just to make sure I understand the process right, I'm going to look at my colleague on this one. So in order for them to pull permits, and maybe this is for staff as well, it has to be an approved zoning in place before they can begin pulling permits. And we've got a previous example in a city outside of Charlotte in which they wanted to get an asphalt plant, and they really pushed for the rezoning in advance of that air quality permit. So I respect and appreciate the comments associated with that about which comes first, the chicken or the egg, and it's clear which is coming first here. Thank you.
Thank you for the knowledge, Commissioner Lansdale. Anyone else? Do I hear a motion for the disposition of this petition? Item number 6 on our agenda.
This is Commissioner Neely. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-001 and the consistency statement as it appears before us.
We have a second. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Seeley.
Thank goodness the Neely-Seeley combo is back. Panthers are going to win this week, folks. We have been properly moved by Neely and and seconded by Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 7-0. On to item number 7 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-032 by the Keith Corp. Dave, are you handling this one? Okay.
All right, 2023-032. It's about 2.43 acres, East 5th and Lamar Avenue, really just off of Park Drive as well in the area between Caswell and Hawthorne. It is currently zoned MUD O, and this is a site plan amendment to that existing MUD O zoning that's in place. Adopted place type does recommend campus. You can see the campus is a pretty predominant place type up there in the area around the hospital. The site plan amendment would add health institution to the list of the proposed uses. Those health institution use would be limited to no more than 40 beds for overnight patients. Transportation improvements that are the responsibility of the petitioner would be approved and constructed prior to the release of the first CO. You have different development areas with this petition. Development Area A, which is there between Lamar Ave and 5th, would be up to 120,000 square feet of gross floor area for office and or medical office, 3,500 square feet of rooftop outdoor space for an EDE, also limits hours of operation. Development Area B would allow structured parking, a cell tower, and 16 townhomes. Development Area C preserves minimum of 3,000 square feet of open space and seating. Building heights capped at 85 feet for non-residential buildings and then 70 feet for residential. Did have some changes since the hearing. Did modify the area or the medical office area with optional below grade parking. Building footprint to illustrate that the building line above and drive aisle below the second story. So just some cleanup on that. Also modifies the Lamar Avenue elevation to note the vehicle entrance, and then modifies elevations to call out an architectural metal louver system and metal cladding on proposed structure parking. So just some cleanup items, nothing outstanding as far as any outstanding items from staff. We do recommend approval of the petition. It is consistent with the campus place type recommendation and really just adds some of those medical uses that weren't part of the original MUD O approval. So not too much of a variation from the original rezoning that was approved for the site. So with that, we'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have any questions from the commission at this moment? Dave, if I can sneak one in quickly while people are getting their thoughts together. This is a MUD O, but it's a 2023. So did it come in before the deadline or?
I don't remember the date of the submittal, but we do have some flexibility with the legacy districts for certain site plan amendments. And that's really done on kind of a basis of what's the ask for the amendment? Is it, something that's a little bit more adding a use or, modifying, certain elements of it that don't impact the overall development or, unit count of the site, if it's multifamily. So a site plan amendment like this, where we're going to go back in and add a use and basically keep everything else the same, is something that we are continuing to entertain, because it does take a lot more effort to then make sure all the notes that are on that previous approval do translate to the new districts. In some cases, they don't. So it's sometimes better off keeping those intact and adding one or two little items. So we'll continue to probably see some site plan amendments to previous approved ones. Now, somebody that comes in, if they said, hey, we want to change all of this to multifamily and do away with the office component completely, that would have been a brand new petition for.
Okay.
So it's really based on the level of change that's being proposed. So we'll still see SPAs probably for the foreseeable future, until we get to that point where it's like, okay, that's not going to be something we entertain, but we haven't put a hard deadline on that side of it yet.
Okay, thank you. Just, it was, I'm slow. Yeah, whatever.
I'm not saying, yeah, that you're slow, I'm disagreeing with.
You are. Anyway, Commissioner Lansdale.
Sorry, I feel a little bit dense here, but just want to understand a little bit about development area B. If you can go back maybe to the slide there we go. Just to confirm, just for my clarification, there's a lot of notes here, and we appreciate the considerations for existing projects that are happening in the area, and the setbacks and the site triangles at the corners. But is there going to be in this parcel an opportunity for residential in development area B? Just making.
Yeah, let me
wanna
just
be very
capture it in the
clear on
notes.
that.
I believe there is. Let me just go through and confirm in the notes that there are. And we do have the petitioner's representative here as well. There is a potential for, I think, up to 16 townhomes, and I believe those are concentrated as a possibility in development area B only.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Anyone else got any questions, issues, comments? Do I hear a motion for is you guys clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 7 on our agenda?
Lansdale move to approve.
Russell second.
Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move and recommend the approval of petition number 2023032 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Lansdale and properly seconded by Commissioner Russell. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That passes 7-0. We're on to item number 8 on our agenda, which is rezoning petition number 2023-036 by Leon and Jennifer Chisholm. Michael, your first chance to dance on the stage for us tonight.
Thank you. This is approximately 9.23 acres located on the east side of Mallard Creek Road, north of Galloway Road, and west of Taverny Parkway. The current zoning is neighborhood 1A. The proposed zoning is urban residential conditional. The 2040 policy map recommends the neighborhood 1 place type for this site. In the proposal, it allows up to, actually it's 70 multifamily attached townhome style dwelling units. They are providing an 8-foot wide planting strip and 12-foot wide multi-use path along the site's frontage. They are providing a right turn lane into the site with 100 feet of storage, and the petitioner shall provide a minimum of 21,000 square feet of usable common open space areas to be amenitized with benches, landscaping, and other similar amenities. They provide walkways to connect all entrances to sidewalks along all streets, and they are providing architectural standards, including building materials. We do have some changes since the public hearing. One is that they limit the height to 40 feet. They're providing guest parking. They're providing ADA compliant bus pad. They've reduced the number of units to 70 attached townhome style dwelling units. And they are providing a connection to the parcel to the north. So the staff does recommend approval of this petition, even though it is inconsistent with the 2040 policy map recommendation for the neighborhood. Would you like to take any questions?
Thank you, Michael. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Commissioner Lansdale.
A transportation question here quickly. On Mallard Creek, we have a 12-foot multi-use path with a storage lane for vehicles. This is something that I kind of have challenged CDOT and petitioners and representatives as well, is that, we'd love to be able to see a continuity of a continuous linear facility presented in some of these site plans a little bit more aggressively. So when you have a turn lane, and if I may take personal privilege here, if you have a turn lane to turn right into a private development like this, without specifying crosswalks and specific design guidelines associated with free and fluid mobility across these streets, this private street as well, it offers me a bit of heartburn. There are a lot of things that I like about this. I'll let other people talk about density and other pieces, but gosh, we could move this process along so much better if we just had this attention to detail for humans and human scale, especially it's along public rights of way and public thoroughfares when we create storage areas for vehicles to turn into these facilities or exit these facilities. And that's really a comment I want to make. It's not going to stop me from supporting this, but again, it's just one of those details that I look for when I see these petitions come across. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Any Commissioner Russell?
Yes, one question and one comment. Question for CDOT. I know that Mallard Creek Road is on the list to be widened. Does this petition take into account, does the setbacks on this petition taking into account the widening of Mallard Creek Road to 485?
This petition coordinated with CDOT as well as NCDOT for all widening purposes. They also committed to continue that coordination during permitting as those plans kind of iron out there at NCDOT. These frontage requirements were a direct result of NCDOT, including the right turn lane and such, and they've been following all public standards.
Does that affect the setback?
Okay, yeah, well, I appreciate that because I was wanting to make sure that the setbacks and the requirements that we have for the front of those units are included in this petition. I hate for it to have to come back for some unspecified reason.
Just to clarify though, CDOT doesn't put the requirements for the setbacks. CDOT is not over that portion of the zoning.
No, understood. I was just saying, I was hoping that for the setback, the developer was including the setbacks based on the new road, not on the existing one. So I understand that you guys aren't setting those setbacks. The other part of this, I'd like to point out is that, we've had some issues with density in certain areas, especially around this area. And there have been a lot of comments made, and there are a lot of issues with, oh, this is too much density and traffic and all of this, yet not 2 miles away, we just approved, or it was just approved by council, 1,900 homes. So I think it's, a little bit disingenuous to try to punish this developer for bringing 70 units when we just approved 1,900 units, not 2 miles away. So I would hope that this would be supported going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. Anybody else got a comment, question, concern? And Travis, this is not a big deal, but there is a possible future connection toward the front top left of this project. Is there only one required possible future connection, or why isn't there on the back private street to the map right a future connection for that stub?
Well, they coordinate with subdivision in particular in regards to what's required
Okay.
per ordinance. Now, with this particular rezoning, it was pre-UDO, so we didn't have a cross-access requirement there. However, CDOT does encourage these access locations in order to facilitate movement off of the main facility if possible.
Yeah.
So, that was in coordination with subdivision. However, we didn't have a direct requirement there.
Okay, thank you. It's like a nice to have if I looked at it. I assumed that this was all that was required. Any other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 8 on our agenda, petition number 2023-036?
Commissioner Russell, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition 2023-036 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Lansdale, second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Russell and seconded by Commissioner Lansdale. All those in favor of this petition, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That petition passes 7-0. We are on to item number 9 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-064 by South End Walk LLC. And Dave, will you be taking us through this one?
Okay. So 2023-064, it's just over 9 acres off of South Tryon. Got some frontage on Orchard Circle, and then also Jeremiah Ave does provide a connection to the site. It is currently zoned several different districts, I-1, CD, N1D, and also CG, which is our general commercial district in the UDO. Proposed zoning is to take the 3 of those districts and lump them into a TOD NC outcome. Adopted place type is also very reflective of the existing zoning. So you can see there's quite a potpourri of some neighborhood 1, some commercial, some industrial, and some innovative mixed use. You do have some neighborhood center just to the south, as well as some community activity center just across the street on South Tryon and Yancey. And so this is generally consistent with the overall development pattern in the area, but not fully consistent, obviously, with the adopted place types that are on the map. However, staff does recommend approval of the petition. While it is inconsistent, it is within a mile walk of the Scaly Bark Station. So that NC district would apply in that instance. And this is a location where we do have needed pedestrian infrastructure and other elements to facilitate a transition to TOD. So we don't have any significant concerns. It's a conventional petition, so no outstanding issues. And we will take any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have any questions or comments on this petition? I'm seeing none.
How do you ask a question?
Well, the question I had is, we get one crayon to color it all in the same color in the end, I guess, is the way that really is what this boils down to. Do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 9 on our agenda?
Lansdale, having a motion to approve. Lansdale, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2023-064 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Second, Wilden.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lansdale, seconded by Commissioner Wilden. All those in favor of petition number 9, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That passes 7-0. We're on to item number 10 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-077 by BPR Properties LLC. And Emma, this is your first chance to shine like a superstar.
This is petition 2023-077. It is approximately 2.7 acres located along the east side of Sanctuary Place and the north side of Twitter Lane and the south side of University City Boulevard. The current zoning is TOD-TR, Transit Oriented Development Transition, and the proposed zoning is CAC1, Community Activity Center. The 2040 policy map recommends the Community Activity Center place type for this location. This is a conventional petition. Staff does recommend approval, and it is consistent with the 2040 policy map. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Emma. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission? Seeing none, do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 10 on our agenda, rezoning petition 2023-077?
Commissioner Russell, recommend approval having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition 2023-077 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Second, Neely.
Motion has been moved by Commissioner Russell and seconded by Commissioner Neely. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, that passes 7-0. On to item number 11 on our agenda, and that is rezoning petition number 2023-078 by City Sculpt LLC. And this is going to be handled by Holly.
Thank you. This site is just 1.26 acres located along the southeast side of Kenilworth Avenue, the southwest side of Greenwood Cliff, and the northeast side of Harding Place. This is in the Midtown area with close proximity to Uptown and the lower density residential mixed use areas of Dilworth over here and Cherry over there. Much of this area, we can go to the zoning slide. Thank you. Yeah, much of this area is zoned neighborhood center due to the Midtown Moorhead Cherry pedestrian overlay that automatically translated a handful of those legacy districts to neighborhood center. The proposal is for Community Activity Center 2, which is consistent with the policy map's recommendation for Community Activity Center. As you can see here, which that whole Kenilworth corridor is under Community Activity Center. This is a conventional petition, so there's no associated site plan. Staff recommends approval of the petition given the consistency with the policy map and the alignment with planned development in that area, which will densify the Kenilworth corridor and focus redevelopment and intensification in this non-residential area as opposed to maybe more sensitive neighborhoods like Dilworth and Cherry. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Holly. Do we have any questions, comments from Commissioner?
Lansdale, a couple of comments,
Go for it.
maybe a question. Holly, just remind me again, for a neighborhood center setback on a major thoroughfare, is that something you can answer? So that when we have a chance to, I'm giving you some time and making my comment while you're doing that, but just this happened, this is on a significant slope. I know that there, in years past, there was some problems with crashes at Greenwood Cliff and Kenilworth. So I just want to understand a little bit more about how close they can build under a neighborhood center for a setback, since it's not as we learned tonight, it's not CDOT's consideration.
Yeah, I think the setback line would be 20 feet if I'm looking this up correctly under NC. And then it has the build to zone of 0 to 20 feet where the actual building envelopes would be placed.
Thanks. That's my only consideration for this one. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 11 on our agenda?
Lansdale move to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2023-078 as it appears before us, and the adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us. And I used to live on Harding and Greenwood Cliff, so close to home.
Me too.
Second, Neely.
Together. That has been moved by Commissioner Lansdale, seconded by Commissioner Neely. All those in favor of this petition, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That petition passes 7-0. We're up to item number 12 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-081 by M Industrial Properties, Charlotte 2 LLC. And Emma, it is you, it is you, it is you.
It is. This site is approximately 8.8 acres located along the east side of Yorkmont Road, south of Byram Drive, and north of Oak Lake Boulevard. The current zoning is ML1 Manufacturing and Logistics 1 and Airport Noise Disclosure Overlay, and the proposed zoning is to increase to ML2 with the Airport Noise Disclosure Overlay. The 2040 policy map calls for manufacturing and logistics for the site, which, as you can see, the rest of the surrounding areas as well identified as manufacturing and logistics. This is a conventional petition, therefore there is no associated site plan. Staff does recommend approval, and the petition is consistent with the 2040 policy map. I will take any questions.
Thank you, Emma. Anyone have any questions about this? Commissioner Lansdale.
Transportation. Is there a sidewalk in progress? I think that was on my notes for that. Is that true? Because this is the only section of Yorkmount left, I believe. As it approaches the next intersection, that's still a 2-lane section of Yorkmount. So maybe CDOT can talk about transportation plans or projects in progress.
As far as existing projects, there's not one in active right now, but as far as city projects, CIP projects, but there is a commercial project that's constructing sidewalk along the frontage of 2770 Yorkmont Ave. So it's kind of getting, right now, it's along the lines as development comes in, we're creating those connections.
Thanks, Isaiah. And just to confirm that when we do approve this, that sidewalks will be installed and per the UDO standards, et cetera.
So that depends on, because we don't have a site plan, I don't know what they're planning on doing, but if they, depending on what their use is, they would have to follow the UDO standards. So it depends on what the use is and what they put on it. We would be able to utilize the UDO.
Understood. Thanks. And just helping me understand, because I'm still a relative newbie, but not every petition and rezoning guarantees transportation improvements. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. And can I get a follow-up on that? Commissioner Lansdale did mention that this is the section that's 1 lane. You said there were no improvements scheduled for this at this moment. This is an ML2 as opposed to an ML1, so I guess we're expecting, and I guess the number of uses, we couldn't say whether it's going to be more uses and more intense in terms of traffic, but just curious, there's no long-term plan that we have to work with on this right now, is I guess what we're hearing. Am I talking myself around in a circle here, I guess? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Michael. You have my back.
It'll depend on what comes in after a rezoning. If they continue to use the site as is, the site will remain as is. If they go in and do different uses, you might get improvements made based on impacts of those uses, or if they completely scrape and redevelop the site, that's a completely different.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it really depends on what happens on the site following rezoning approval. If they keep things as is, no change. If they make changes, then it just depends on the level of that change.
Okay, thank you. You help me look so smart sometimes. Thank you. Any other comments, questions, meanderings, mental wanderings? Do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 12 on our agenda?
Commissioner Neely, motion, God bless you. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend the approval of petition number 2023-081 and the adoption of the consistency statement.
Second, Seeley.
The Neely to Seeley combo is in effect tonight. It's been properly moved by Commissioner Neely and seconded by Commissioner Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those who are opposed, that passes 7-0. We're on to item number 13 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-082 by Metrolina Storage LLC. And Max, you didn't feel like being left out, so it's your opportunity to party now.
Happy to be here. Petition 2023-082 is located along the east side of Statesville Road, northwest of Old Statesville Road. The site is approximately 8.6 acres and currently developed with a self-storage facility. The site is currently zoned I2 CD, light industrial or heavy industrial conditional. The proposed zoning is ML1, manufacturing and logistics. It's a conventional district. 2040 policy map recommends that manufacturing and logistics place type. The ML1 district is consistent with the MNL place type. The site is surrounded by other properties zoned ML1 and industrial, and it's located along an existing major thoroughfare. This is a conventional rezoning. There's no associated site plan and would prevent any use allowed in the ML1 district. Staff recommends approval of this petition. Happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Max. Anyone have any questions, comments, issues, concerns? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 13 on our agenda?
And consider the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. Move that we recommend approval of petition 2023-082 as it appears before us and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Lansdale, second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Russell and seconded by Commissioner Lansdale. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes 6-0. Note that we don't have Commissioner Winokur with us at this moment, but hopefully he'll come back.
Kitty go.
We're on to item number 14 on our agenda, and obviously Commissioner Wilden is very excited about it. Rezoning petition number 2023-085 by Rhino Partners Coffee LLC. And Emma, you get to do this.
This site is approximately 0.24 acres located on the west side of the plaza, north of Commonwealth Avenue and south of Central Avenue. The current zoning is general business and the requested zoning is neighborhood center. The 2040 policy map calls for community activity center, and the site or this petition is conventional, so there is no associated site plan. Staff does recommend approval and it is consistent with the 2040 policy map. I will take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Emma. Any questions from folks on the committee tonight? Quiet. Can I have a motion for the disposition of item number 14 on our agenda?
Wilden, motion to approve. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-085 as it appears before us.
Second, Seeley.
Has been properly moved by Commissioner Wilden and seconded by Commissioner Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That passes 7-0. We're on to item number 15 on our agenda. And rezoning petition number 2023-090 by West Boulevard Neighborhood Coalition. Max, it's your turn to party again.
Petition 2023-090 is located along the south side of West Boulevard, west side of Clanton Road, and the east side of Romere Bearden Drive. The site is approximately 3.54 acres and is currently the site of community garden. The site is currently zoned O2 CD, office conditional. Previous petition 2007-134 intended the development of office buildings on this portion of the site and a childcare facility to the south on this site, which was built, but left this portion of the site vacant. The proposed zoning is NC Neighborhood Center, Conventional District. 2040 policy map recommends the neighborhood center place type. The NC district is consistent with this place type. The site is located in an area with a mix of uses at the intersection of two thoroughfares within a half-mile walk of the Irwin Creek Greenway and Clayton Park. It's served by 3 bus routes. This is a conventional rezoning petition. There's not an associated site plan. Would allow any uses allowed in the NC district. Staff recommends approval of the petition. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Max. Do we have any comments, questions, concerns? If not, do I hear a motion for the disposition of item number 15 on our agenda?
I'll do it. Motion to approve Wilden. Having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of 2023-090 as it appears before us.
Lansdale, second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Wilden and seconded by Commissioner Lansdale. All
And the adoption of the consistency statement. Do I do the whole thing again?
No, you're good. You're good. We're gonna vote because we're hell bent for leather to get out of here. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those who are opposed, that passes 7-0. We're on to item number 16 on our agenda tonight, rezoning petition number 2023-091 of Mecklenburg County. And Holly, you will give us the details on this doodah.
Sure. This site is 3.23 acres located along the northwest side of North College Street and both the east and west sides of East 7th Street. The site is located in the core of Uptown across an assemblage of parcels owned by the county. The current zoning is UMUD optional, Uptown Mixed Use Development optional, and they are requesting a site plan amendment to that previous 2021-163 rezoning petition. The policy map calls for a regional activity center for this area, which UMUD is consistent with. And the plan itself is for a site plan amendment to provide an additional full movement access point to building envelope B, identified there, B and B1. And this amendment also commits to additional pedestrian connectivity by dividing what was previously building envelope A into building envelopes A and A1 with pedestrian connectivity path between the building envelopes that runs from North Tryon Street to North College Street while still maintaining the other pedestrian connectivity to East 6th Street. It also adds a commitment to 8-foot minimum pedestrian clear zone along East 7th Street, and it maintains all uses as approved in the petition 2021-163, which are essentially just all uses permitted by right and under prescribed conditions in the UMUD district. The only changes since the public hearing were to address the outstanding issues, so there are no further outstanding issues or technical revisions. Staff recommends approval of this petition. We believe that the modifications presented in this petition to the previously approved conditional plan are minor and would not significantly change the nature of the development that was originally approved in petition 2021-163. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Winokur.
I have a question for CDOT. What's the future of 7th Street right there when this is done? Is it going to go back to 2-lane with the cycle track, or are you going to allow it to go down to 1 lane?
Hi. So I'm taking a look at the cross section, but it should stay as it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite. You're
Yeah,
looking at it now, is that what you said?
I'll confirm for you, Natalie. The on our streets map, the long-term 7th Street curb line remains as is.
How can we get it down to 1 lane? It's 1 lane now. It's been fine. What will it take to get it to 1 lane? Given the cycle track is right there, you're going to have so much heavy pedestrian use rather than having a 2-lane thoroughfare between these two connected uses. Or will that also take NCDOT approval? I guess the first question is, would CDOT approve it? And then,
So I believe that NCDOT is out of Uptown. I think this is all city streets. but I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Are you asking about one total lane or one lane in each direction?
One total lane. Right now, it's a one-way street. It's currently down to one lane due to the construction. Why can't we leave it one lane?
I think that's a larger discussion with CDOT as a whole. And I think that's a long-term plan change that would require, additional vetting and discussion if it's something that was desired. So I
I'll
can't.
follow up offline. Thanks for the input.
I will interject in with Commissioner Winokur here. Holly, you said there's a full movement out of, was that development area B onto 7th is one of the changes, right?
Yeah, so it adds a full movement access point to building envelope B. Emma, do you want to just collapse that?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Because when we saw this at public hearing, I think I did not quite understand the pedestrian stuff that was going in. It looked like you were adding extra roads and I was like, why is that? But those are just, those are only pedestrian roads, right? The light green is only pedestrian walkways, right?
Now, if you look at this drawing, so if you look at RZ01, it's shaded like that. It's got pedestrian connection. Because the next sheet, RZ01B, it clearly shows a loading dock with a street.
Okay.
So
I mean, because right now you can drive, well, you used to be able to drive between the old library and Spirit Square.
Right.
But I don't know that anybody did anything except to take stuff in and load it into the theater, right?
it was just a loading dock for the theater.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, is the green a closed pedestrian
It is not.
adventure?
No, that's just highlighting the additional pedestrian connectivity that they're adding. The
Okay.
only change with this site plan amendment, so that pedestrian connectivity and any road access was in the previous plan. The change is the full movement access into envelope B.
B, that's the change.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just being confused because, again, when I saw this, it
Yeah.
looked like, I don't think there was any green, or maybe I was having a colorblind day when we did this for the public hearing, because
This is the same that it was at the public hearing.
Okay. I'm just colorblind.
But yeah, the takeaway is that the main change is that building envelope B will have the full movement access. They are coming through with a site plan amendment because they can't add that sort of change through an administrative amendment, which is what they were pursuing at one point.
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm still stuck on this pedestrian connection. I feel like that's misleading. And it's purposefully misleading by saying pedestrian connectivity, but it's actually a loading dock. I mean, you've got Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, but the what is it? The loading movement where it has the trucks to show if the truck can make the turn. It's clearly
turning radius.
The turning radius. It is clearly shown on this on the site plan. I just feel like that's intentionally misleading. We're telling people it's going to be a pedestrian connection, but it's actually just an entryway for a loading dock. There's no pedestrian connectivity in there, and I think that should be removed for clarity's sake. It's just me.
The flip side of that is, to be argumentative, that's on the part that's already been approved, right?
So, yeah, and sorry, I should have clarified. Envelope A, it used to just be two building envelopes, B and A. A1 is a new building envelope because it used to just be one contiguous building. That is new pedestrian connectivity that it has added down to connect there to North College Street. So that is a change from the previously approved site plan 2021-163. There is additional pedestrian connectivity as a result of this site plan amendment.
Commissioner Lansdale.
If I may, just, that's not what that's changed, but it's not what we're voting for today for the change. Is that correct? So the site plan is changing all around, but we're really only talking about this modification to building envelope B.
So the the reason that they had to pursue a site plan amendment was to get the full movement driveway access. That was the main impetus for it. And if you look at the old site plan for 2021-163, it was one contiguous envelope for building A. So they've added in just additional pedestrian connectivity with this site plan amendment. But their main motivation was that full movement access into envelope B. Does that make sense?
So they're just changing other things within their rights to change their site plan. That's not going to impact rezoning.
Yeah, this is site plan amendment, so they've just changed those minor things, everything, the uses, the optional provisions with the exception of that pedestrian clear zone note, all that is the same on this.
I will say,
It's not
it is a little confusing.
Yeah.
And agree, looking at this and looking at the approved plan, that turn radius stuff that we were just talking about for the truck and loading. I'm sorry, this is incredibly annoying with these mics right now. Was not on the previously approved plan. So that was not envisioned to come in for loading from College Street through building envelope A. That was one building along all of College Street that had structured parking built into it. So there was an entrance there, but it was to a parking garage. Now that's been split into A and A1. And so that turn in off of North College could accommodate a loading truck for the theater and for the library. So that is a newer element, or at least it wasn't shown in the same way on the previously approved plan. There was pedestrian connection from 6th Street that ran north to North Tryon with that portal over to 7th Street, but that pedestrian connectivity to the south to College Street wasn't there, and it's there now, but it also serves as that access for the loading area. So that's probably, and that's something that frankly, I'm just kind of getting my head around as we're sitting here talking through it.
Yeah, I just think it's confusing to say it's pedestrian connectivity. It's
Yeah,
clearly not. It
yeah.
should be labeled service road so that everybody's clear about what the intention is.
Yeah, and we're going to need to get a little bit of clarity on that as well from our standpoint. Like, is it going to be bollard protected? Is it going to have, some element of,
That's what I saw. But
a barrier to ensure that it's just for pedestrians unless it's needed for loading? So we'll need to find out about that. We can follow up with the petitioner. But that is a different element of the site than what was approved back in, I think, 2021.
if I may have a follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got one after you.
So this might be for CDOT, that might be for Holly, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell because there's no specific design features, and I'm going to stick to building envelope B for the turning opportunity here. What is the length of that driveway going to be? And it's found it interesting that the two parcels that I've picked out to choose an example for a conversation happen to be by the same engineering firm. So looking for some clarity about, so here we are, we're wanting to try to understand the impacts of this particular proposal for building envelope B, but there's really no design standard description around building envelope B to a mid-block crossing at a pedestrian portal
Right.
on 7th Street.
It's offset.
So I'm trying to understand a little bit about this design feature associated with the petition that we're trying to consider. And
Yes, this is
maybe-
Natalie King with CDOT. So we won't get into those specifics and those details until the permitting process. And once they enter the permitting process, we'll make sure that they follow the UDO requirements.
Appreciate that. And, this is a trigger for me. We have a confusing site plan. We don't have clarification on the specific change. And we have a staff saying, we're going to get back to you after you approve it. So this is one of those things I didn't expect to be this way on this one. I had lots of positive things with just a clarification. But, this might need to take some more time and come back to us on this one.
Thank you, Commissioner Lansdale. Dave, I will ask, can we, I do feel like if this was documented a little bit better or clearer or things of that nature, and I know we can approve, deny, defer, I'm not feeling those first two on this. I don't know what the rest of the commission is feeling, but it would just, if you just said A and B, and that's the site plan amendment, I'd be perfectly happy. But I felt like there was some fuzzy in there. And So I don't know if anybody else has any other comments.
Given the parties in this case, I would make a motion to defer.
This is not
That
a,
is
this is not an industrial complex on Yorkmount Road. This is the heart of our community that
Yeah,
we're not getting
yeah.
clarity on.
We have a motion on the table for a deferral. Do we have a second for that?
I think everyone seconded that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Russell. How about that? You guys can fight over it later. It's been moved by Commissioner Winokur, seconded by Commissioner Russell, that we defer this petition. Do I hear, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and we will just put in that we would like some additional clarity on the petition so that, you know, the concerns that have been raised here, blah, blah, blah. It may all come down to labeling stuff properly, but, you know, we just like some clarity. All right, cool? Everybody cool with that? All right. We're up to item number 17 on our agenda. That 16 was unexpected there, people, but hey. Rezoning petition number 2023-094 by Josh Jolly, Rosegate Holdings LLC. Michael, will you take us through this one?
Certainly. This site is approximately 3.52 acres located along the north side of Johnson Ayler Road and south of Barrow Road. The existing zoning is N1A. The requested zoning is neighborhood 2A conditional. You can kind of see to the north, the multifamily, and to the east, the multifamily zoning districts. The 2040 policy map calls for neighborhood 1. In this proposal, they are would allow up to 45 multifamily attached dwelling units. They are providing an 8-foot wide planting strip, an 8-foot wide multi-use path along the site's frontage on Johnson Ayler Road. They're dedicating 35 feet of right-of-way from the center line of Johnson Ayler. They're limiting the building height to 48 feet. They do provide a future private street connection from the site to the adjacent property to the east, if that redevelops. And they do provide architectural details, including building materials. There are no changes or outstanding issues since the public hearing. Staff does recommend approval of this petition, even though it's inconsistent with the policy map for neighborhood 1 place type. Glad to take any questions.
Thank you, Michael. And I will just say the two maps up there, the second map was correct, right? Because the location on that first map of the exit, I thought, I believe we received information from the petitioner at least that it was closer to the second one, Emma, the next slide down. Yeah, that's the correct one. So if, you know, I don't know if anybody gets all the same stuff I do, but I think the petitioner sent everybody this. So if you did, just make sure we're all on the same page. Is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions, issues, comments? Oh, Terry.
But I'm really trying to make these quick tonight, but yeah, you know, the five-plex, whatever you want to call it, you know, just, well, whatever it is, I don't understand why we keep moving it closer and closer to a road that's a major thoroughfare. And we're providing less and less space, the equal amount of space for trees and people. Again, it's a design feature for me that I look for transportation solutions that make it safe, comfortable, and inviting for people to access these sites and pass through these sites along major and minor thoroughfares. Thank you.
Commissioner Winokur.
Is the, looking at the site map, is that sidewalk will immediately abut Johnson Ayler, right? Do I have that correct?
There's planting.
There'll be a planting strip?
Planting strip and.
All right. All right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. Thank you.
On our agenda. Sorry, we have these lovely iPads and we flip back and forth. We don't always get back to where we were. Do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 17, rezoning 2023-094? Microphone.
Commissioner Russell to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-094 as it appears before us and adoption of the consistency statement as it appears before us.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
We have 6-1 on that one. And Commissioner Lansdale, if you will issue forth your nayness.
Sure. I stand in opposition to this due to the outstanding issues for design and setback for the parcel associated with the townhomes on the 2A private alley, as well as a setback on Johnson Ola Road. Thank you.
Good with that, Michael? All right, cool. We're on to item number 18 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-096 by Conformity Corp. Joe, would you take us through this, please?
Thank you. This petition is right at 1 acre located on the northeastern corner of Ashley Road and Greenland Avenue. The Ashley Park neighborhood just north of Wilkinson Boulevard. Current zoning is OFC for the majority of the site. Small portion of the northern end there is N1B. Requested zoning is N2B. The 2040 policy map recommends neighborhood 2 place type. It's consistent with that policy map recommendation. Staff recommends approval. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Does anyone have any questions, comments, issues? Seeing none, do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 18 on our agenda?
Motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition, I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-096, as well as the associated consistency statement as they appear before us.
Thank you. And a marvelous reversal of other activities that have happened earlier in the evening. We have the Seeley to Neely combo here. It's been moved by Commissioner Seeley and seconded by Commissioner Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Those opposed? That one passes 7-0. On to item number 19 on our agenda, rezoning petition number 2023-097 by Drakeford Communities. Max, if you would.
Yes, this petition is also located on Ashley Road. Petition 2023-097 is located on the east side of Ashley Road, south of Allegheny Street. The site is approximately 0.64 acres, is currently undeveloped. The site is zoned R22 MFCD multifamily conditional. The site was included as part of petition 2022-055, but was not shown as part of the proposed multifamily development. The proposed zoning is N2B, conventional district. The 2040 policy map recommends the neighborhood 2 place type, and N2B district is consistent with this place type. There are a range of uses surrounding the site. It's located within walking distance of a grocery store, 3 schools. The site is along an alignment of a funded urban trail, has transit access on 4 bus routes. This is a conventional rezoning petition. There is not an associated site plan. It would permit any use in the N2B district. Staff recommends approval of this petition. Happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Max. Does anyone have a question, comment?
I do. So
Commissioner Russell.
Is this just an additional parcel that's being added to the previous? I think we've looked at this, the heart of this rezoning on 2 separate occasions.
It's more that it's the opposite. It's a parcel that's sort of being removed from the previous petition, not added to the petition.
Okay, so it's been taken out.
So yeah, the previous petition was zoned R22 MFCD. That's what this parcel is currently zoned, but there wasn't anything shown on that site plan to be developed on this portion of that site. So this will kind of be removed from that petition and stand alone for development.
It will likely be part of the overall development, but it'll be developed under N2 versus, because like Max said, the R22 conditional had no development on this piece. So they couldn't do anything with it. So they're coming back in to rezone it. There was some talk about adding it, but it was kind of too late in the game on the original rezoning. So they're coming back now to get it to an N2B scenario or whatever it's being requested for. I think it's N2B. And they'll develop it out in kind of the same general layout and pattern as the overall site next to it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Can we go back one slide, I think? All right, so just south of it's N2B. That is,
So that's all. So those are single family homes, but if you remember the translation table in the UDO,
yeah.
it would have been zoned, I don't know, either R17 MF.
Oh.
Even though it's developed single family,
Okay.
automatically translated to into B.
Yeah, because on the next slide, it says neighborhood 1, and I was like, wait a minute, those two things don't go together. It wasn't what I was expecting, so it just kind of caught me off guard there. The history of it makes it understandable now. I'm cool. Anybody else got any questions? I do have a motion for the disposition of item number 19 on our agenda.
Wilden motion to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-097 as it appears before us and the adoption of the consistency statement.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Still cage death match. We'll say that it was moved properly by Wilden and seconded by Neely. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Then we have a 7-0 on that one. And our last petition for the evening, item number 20, rezoning petition number 2023-123 by Charlotte 212 LLC. And Michael, will you take us through this one?
Yes. This is approximately 4.26 acres located along the east side of West Sugar Creek Road, south of the Roman Road, and north of Equipment Drive. The current zoning is general commercial. The requested zoning is N2C, neighborhood 2C. The 2040 policy map actually calls for commercial.
Yeah.
So this is conventional, so there's no associated site plan. And staff does recommend approval of this petition, even though it's inconsistent with the 2040 policy map for commercial place type.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Winokur.
What's during the presentation, during the hearing, it was explained by the petitioner he was going to revamp those units. Is there anything about this rezoning that commits him to that, or they can do whatever they want with the property once it's rezoned?
Yeah, they could do whatever, but it's zoned to neighborhood 2C, which would only allow for multifamily residential. If they did non-residential, it would have to be on the ground floor of the integrated multifamily building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Adaptive reuse or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise, do I have a motion for the disposition of item number 20 on our agenda?
Winokur, move to approve, having reviewed the petition and considered the consistency statement prepared by staff to approve this petition. I move that we recommend approval of petition number 2023-123 as it appears before us.
Motion has been properly made by Commissioner Winokur and seconded by Commissioner Seeley. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, before we go, we've got one more question or issue comment from.
So this is pertaining to the petition earlier that we were looking at Tryon, College Street, 2023-091. We went through and found out that there was an administrative approval, which is done via staff, that permitted the change to allow that area off Sixth Street, which did have a driveway entrance on the originally approved plan, to break that building up, and that would be then serve, either entrance could serve as a loading area. Initially, it was just to come off Sixth Street. The administrative approval was made. We just found the documents in our folder and just had kind of a recollection of that as we closed that petition out and y'all deferred it. So really, truly, the only change would be then that building envelope B getting that access point onto 7th Street, that area. And I do agree, and we need to go back and probably relabel some of that for both pedestrian connectivity and to serve as a loading zone. But the only real change that's happening, because that was approved administratively, would be that driveway on building envelope B. So at this point, knowing that, and that was part of the area we needed clarification on, we can either decide to revisit that and take action on it this evening, or we can continue to get any other questions that you might have answered. But I think that solves the biggest question that we had about where that connection point and breaking up building area A came from, and that was already approved. So that's something that they have basically a by right option to do at this point.
Okay, thanks, Dave. We'll have discussion from committee. What do you guys feel about doing that? I mean, I can, this is one of those left hand, right hand, not quite knowing things, and that does happen from time to time. Do we have any concerns? Commissioner Lansdale.
Yeah, for me, building envelope B was this thing that I looked at, and a mid-block uncontrolled access point without design considerations presented to us at a pedestrian connectivity zone is a challenge for me to support at this point. So if we want to revisit it, that's how I would be voting.
Do I hear other comments? Commissioner Winokur.
My other comment, I was confused clearly earlier when I was asking CDOT about taking 7th Street to one lane. I meant 6th Street, obviously where the cycle track is. And so staff has administratively approved a driveway connection across the cycle track right there?
The driveway connection was on the original plans. It wasn't on the 2021 petition. Did show that curb cut there, and it did show that in the location where the cycle track would also be. So that's not a new access point. They just adds clarification through that administrative amendment that the access point would be able to continue through to College Street to serve as another point of access for loading. So, a vehicle could come through either entrance and either circle through and get back out to 6th Street, or enter on 6th Street and come back out to College, just depending on, which ingress and egress they choose. But that, it would traverse over the cycle track.
My comment to that is I really would not like more vehicles. I already have enough vehicles I'm battling trying to go down the cycle track, rather than a public entity choosing to, cut across cyclists and vulnerable pedestrians.
And I would just say to that, the horse is out of the barn on that one already. So any other comments folks want to make?
No, I appreciate, Dave, you giving us that information. I still just have a lot of concerns about, there's a little too much that needs to be clarified and revised for me. I think we should just hold on to deferral and just let's get that cleaned up a little bit better.
Do I hear anybody with an opinion that's any different than Commissioner Russell's? Then out of the wisdom of being able to say, let's just go ahead, Dave, if we can just get this one back.
Put the option out there.
Yeah, I think we'd all feel a little bit better if we just had a little bit more information next time, and we can get through that, but we've had a combination of confusing things, confusing ourselves, whatever. Me confusing me, I don't know. All right, do I hear a motion that we adjourn this meeting and all go home and watch things on TV?